Welcome to the Community and Commerce Podcast, Cultivating Market Capacity through Peer Exchange. I'm Ana Leon, the Regional Program Manager at ACEnet, the lead organization for this grant. ACEnet is a regional nonprofit working to build the capacity of the region's economy by supporting entrepreneurs and strengthening food systems and community-based businesses in Appalachia, Ohio. This podcast is part of our USDA Local Food Promotion Program funded project designed to strengthen local and regional food systems by creating space for peer learning among market managers and food retail leaders. Through open conversations and shared experience, we aim to cultivate a stronger market capacity, deepen community connections, and highlight practical strategies that help local food businesses thrive. Throughout this series, you'll hear from several stores and markets participating in this project as they share their journeys, lessons learned, and insights from the field. These conversations matter because strong, transparent relationships between local producers and groceries buyers are essential to build resilient, equitable local food systems. In today's episode, we have Erin Harvey from the Keller Market House, and she will share the story behind the store, along with practical insights on how producers can become stronger sellers, successfully navigate retail relationships, and become part of a community-based market like the Keller Market House. So let's begin. Hello and welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Erin Harvey, and we're here at the Keller Market House in Lancaster, Ohio.
Okay, wonderful. Now tell me, what is your role at the Keller Market House?
I'm the executive director of our nonprofit organization, which is Lancaster Fresh Market, and that operates both the Keller Market House and the Lancaster Farmers Market.
Okay, great. And where is your store located and who does it primarily serve?
We are right in downtown Lancaster, and Lancaster is it's a small city of just over 40,000 people, and we are kind of midway between Columbus and Athens. We're in a big historic building. It's the corner of Columbus and Chestnut Street, so we're a block off of downtown, a block off of the State Route Highway. So we serve really a wide range of people, I would say. Certainly Lancaster, but also the surrounding county. We're in Fairfield County. We're the county seat. And so there are a lot of smaller, more rural communities. And we see a lot of those folks, too, coming in to shop.
Awesome. And just for our listeners, I just want to clarify that this is in Ohio.
Yes.
Awesome. So just tell me a little bit about your background and how did you end up here and in this position?
Yeah. Well, I grew up here in Lancaster and left for college and got interested in food and environmental issues. And so I spent a while working both on farms and for nonprofit organizations. And then eventually, trained on working farms as well as had some educational background in ecological agriculture and decided to move back to Ohio and start my own very small farming operation. And I did that for several years and ended up moving back to Lancaster. And so around that time, that's when this market was getting off the ground. And so I was a producer, I was a grower, focused on vegetables and herbs and nursery plants. And I was excited about the possibility of having a market right here in Lancaster because otherwise it seemed like the prospects were to drive to Columbus primarily, which is, 45-minute to an hour drive, depending on where you're going. And so I got involved as a vendor and a volunteer and then a board member, and then the market manager position became available and I was ready for a change. So that was about 9 years ago.
Oh, wow, that was a long time ago. So, are you saying that when you were ready for this change, did you decide to stop farming?
I still have maybe more of a hobby farm. It's not, I'm not dependent on it for my income, but I do still love growing things. And so the piece that I've kept going is I still have a seasonal nursery greenhouse operation. So I still do that as well. Awesome. Yeah.
I am glad you're still able to grow some food. And looking back on the last 9 years, how would you describe your experience at the Keller Market House?
It's been really great. It's been really a wonderful opportunity to get to do this kind of work in my hometown. That was a pleasant surprise. And really nice to see how supportive people, of all kinds of backgrounds are of local food and farmers and excited about the community that's grown up around the markets.
Yeah, that's awesome. And how would you describe the mission or the values that the store and the nonprofit has?
Mhm. Well, our motto or our mission is real food within reach. And
I love that.
yeah, I think it really sums it up very well. To elaborate on that, I'd say like what we try to do is build relationships. So primarily that's relationships between producers and consumers. And so it's kind of like two sides of the same coin. Without one, you wouldn't have the other. And so we're both supporting small producers, kind of helping them expand their market opportunity, and find resources and sell their products, but also, we need to support consumers. We need to do education and, you know, why is local food important? Yes, it tastes better. And how are you going to cook this?
Yeah.
And then helping to introduce them, kind of the face to face or telling the story of the producers, because then that's when they really become invested. And um, that's when, local really becomes important, is when you can put a face to it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, and why would you say that local and, if possible, organic with some of your products, like produce and products? Why is that important to you and like the customers and like the mission, right, of the store?
I think, to me, it's very important that we support our small independent businesses, because without them, what would be left? It's always really sad to see um, small businesses close their doors, and kind of the alternative is just big box stores that are the same as everywhere else. And then we lose any sense of place,
Yeah.
really. And also, in particular, to support our farms, we're in a kind of, like, I don't consider Lancaster a suburb, but it's kind of suburban in that we are an outlying community of the Columbus metro area, but yet we also border a lot of farmland and kind of the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. So it's this kind of, there's a lot of different dynamics coming together. If we can't support our farms and make it viable to be a farmer, then it's going to become a housing development, a warehouse, a data center.
Yeah.
And farmers,
Factory.
yeah, farmers cannot, they're not in this alone. They need us to support them. And then I think you just, over the last couple of decades, really, that I've been involved in the local food movement, just the amount of awareness people are having about the connection of food and health. We get so many people coming in that are reading labels and concerned about how their meat and dairy is raised, and all those kinds of things. So um, that's really very important to be able to offer that option.
And I think it's important to mention that even if some local products don't carry certifications like organic or non GMO, it's often because the cost or the time involved in getting those labels. But stores like these give customers the opportunity to actually get to know the farmers and the producers, and then When they do, they often learn that their practices and values align with those certifications. They just might not have the resources to go through the formal process.
Yeah, like that label really, I think, is a stand-in for the relationship of if you can just ask the questions you need to. Well, you can't if you're buying something off the store in the grocery store, but if you're at the farmer's market, you can ask what you want to ask, what's relevant to you, what you care about.
Yeah.
I just kind of been in this sort of retail position for a while, like we see a lot of people who have gotten to that place after a health scare. And I just wish we could get people there before the health scare.
Yeah.
Do more of that like preventative eating.
Yes, yes. I absolutely agree. It often feels like preventative medicine isn't truly integrated into the health care system or even the culture here in the US. And I really wish more people paid attention to what they are eating, how they are nourishing their bodies, and the long term impact that has on their health. So that maybe they will appreciate more those healthy foods. Okay, so how has your store relationship with local producers evolved over time?
We have grown a lot. When I started here, it was, largely just me working with our suppliers and then like a little bit of, like cashiering support. And now we have 7 employees, and between our two markets, like over 200 vendors. And so we've had to evolve and really kind of into place. So a lot of, yeah, we're like adding new vendors all the time. So we've kind of streamlined like an onboarding process, and we have a workspace for them that we try to make really user friendly so they can kind of come in and do what they need to do as much as possible without our help. And another thing that has been kind of fun to watch over time is like vendors come and go. For a lot of them, it's a part-time thing. Their lives are evolving. It makes sense for a while, and then things change. But then sometimes, like they come back, and they've learned a lot. Or they, can make better choices, or it's the right time to really focus on their business. So that's been kind of cool to see over time. And as a store, we've also developed a lot more relationships with wholesale suppliers. When we started, it was very much primarily consignment based vendors, and that helped us get off the ground, and that's great. And it lets us work with more producers and lets them really kind of invest in the relationship, but it doesn't necessarily add up to consistently full shelves. And so we've started working with some bigger, more established businesses that are ready to do wholesale, and some distributors that help us access local foods that might be Cincinnati or Cleveland or all over the state.
Cool. I think I heard you say something like our 2 like stores or businesses. So would you talk a little bit more about what you mean by that?
Yeah, so the Keller Market House is like a brick and mortar local food store open all year round. And then the Lancaster Farmers Market is a traditional outdoor farmers market, which has been around for over 40 years in our community. But about 7, 8 years ago, we took over management of it. So
I see.
now it's sort of under our umbrella, and I kind of see them as like sister markets. So it's been really cool to see like, the synergy between the two, So we can't get all of our food on Saturday mornings, but that's really valuable. People love coming. It's a really nice social opportunity. You get that face to face interaction. Find the products you love, but then you also know you can buy them like all year and 6 days a week here. So that really helps create more economic opportunity for those vendors, and even to the point of like, well, they can come on a Saturday, they might have some stuff left over, but they can come stock it, and it's not just something that's a waste or that they have to figure out, how to donate or whatever. So.
Yeah. And what I think is really amazing and unique about this store is that it has like both things and like can provide that opportunity for the farmers for, as you were saying, the other days of the week.
Yeah, this is really cool. It's both ways. We have vendors that start at the farmer's market, and then all the customers start saying, you should be in Keller. And so then they apply to have their product in here, and then vice versa. We found a lot of new farmers market vendors from people who started stocking here and then heard that we have a great farmers market too. And so,
Nice. That's awesome. So thinking a little bit more about like what's the percentage of your products that are sourced like hyper local, like Lancaster, and then like maybe a little bit wider, I don't know, to other counties, and then I don't know, in general, like for the state of Ohio. And do you also source some products from like at a regional level, like from other states?
generally, we say local for us is Ohio. There are occasional exceptions, but just about everything you would find in the market house is produced in Ohio, grown in Ohio, or sometimes we say the innovation is in Ohio because sometimes we recognize that there are restraints that are just out of our hands that you can't like do everything here. One exception is our wine. We do carry global wines, and we try to find ones that are produced, at a small scale, sustainably.
With the same values.
Yeah. And we do have like local Ohio wine and mead and cider and beer and stuff as well. And then we do a winter subscription program where we offer produce, and then people can also customize their bag and add on eggs and meat and stuff in January, February, and March, when it is pretty tricky to find local produce. And so this year we've said, okay, if we can really improve the diversity of the vegetables that people are getting, we'll look at, maybe we'll get something from Michigan or Kentucky that's available to us through some of our still local distributors. So we've done just a tiny bit of that, but by and large, Ohio, I don't know off the top of my head, like the hyper local question, but the people who are from our county or the surrounding counties certainly make up the majority of the fresh stuff, the produce. Well, maybe not even so much the produce anymore, because we do work with some distributors now, but the baked goods, and then more of the value added. It's a little bit harder in our area, but then a lot of value added we draw from like the cities, and Athens from ACEnet, because they have the commercial kitchen if we don't. So
cool. That's great. And is there like anything that you prioritize in terms of local products?
At the end of the day, I would say our emphasis is really on like the core grocery items that people coming back. So we really try to have milk, eggs, produce, bread. And we've gotten a lot better over the years. When you're just working with very small businesses, that consistency can be really hard. And so, especially with the produce, that's one of the ways that it's been really advantageous for us to work with some bigger farms that are set up to wholesale, because then we can still say, okay, local farmers, like, we know you're not going to have the consistency. We know there's seasonality. Bring what you can, but then we also can totally fill in and keep the shelves full so that customers keep coming back to support the local people in the first place.
Yeah, for sure. Like that's the way of like, if the customers like stop coming here, like that's gonna affect the farmers like later on in the growing season. So yeah, totally. And how do you typically find and onboard new local producers into the store?
For quite a while now, people are finding us. I would say like it's not necessarily like the top of our priority list of what do we need next, but we've been pretty busy just reviewing applications and onboarding folks that have come to us as people have learned about us. And usually that like vendor to vendor recommendation is the most valuable way to find new vendors. They talk to each other, they see somebody at a different market and recommend us. And then also lately, as we work with more local distribution companies, they add stuff to their catalogs. That's a great way for new products to come on our radar.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. And I think thinking about like the systems that the store uses, like what do you use for ordering, like delivery? and communication in general?
Definitely something that we have been working on a lot the last few years. We were able to renovate our building and expand our footprint and build like an overstock area and workroom that we never had before. And so that's really allowed us to be better at receiving deliveries and being organized and processing stuff as it comes in and getting it labeled and on the shelf and everything. So yeah, so we have like a back work area that's really important. And whether you're a consignment vendor with us or a wholesale vendor with us really makes a big difference. So, consignment vendors, the ball's really in their court at the end of the day. It's when are they able to come and what are they able to bring us? And because, that is our mission to support small producers, we kind of roll with it.
Yeah.
We're pretty forgiving, I would say. And then wholesale businesses and farms tend to have their own routine and they kind of tell us, we send the availability out on Sunday, you need to order by Monday at this time, and delivery comes on this time. And there is a beauty to that, let me tell you, as far as planning. So we, as our staff grows, there's been a lot of trying to figure out who's doing what when, because it's a pretty complicated ordering process. We try to do like weekly check-in and see what consignment vendors we might need to reach out to and say, hey, we noticed you're getting low or we have requests for this. Could you please bring it? We have a kind of like a portal built into our point of sale system so the consignment vendors can see their sales in real time. So they should be able to stay on top of what is being sold and what we might need, but we also field a lot of emails and phone calls from them to give them a snapshot of what we have. And then we have adopted a shared email address for our staff that everybody has access to. And so that way, whoever is working that day and is on the floor can respond to a consignment vendor with an inquiry or have access to orders or invoices that are coming in over email and be able to move things along.
Yeah. And I am curious how possible it is to plan with the producers, given it is so hard to predict how much and what are they going to have available.
It's challenging, and especially with produce, we get it. You can't always predict what you're going to have or what's going to be ready.
Yeah.
Who else is going to buy up whatever, but it is really helpful when we have several days to a week lead time. And if they would all fall on the same schedule, so we can kind of check out all the different options and then choose accordingly. But one of the challenges is they don't always line up. This one order might need to be in on Sunday, but we're not getting the availability list from the other main produce supplier until that day. And so it's hard, but yeah, having several days built in there does really help.
Yeah, I see. And I think you might have already answered this question, but how seasons affect your purchasing strategy? What kind of things are you doing more in the wintertime? Do you organize more events? What do you do?
We do have kind of like an interesting dynamic with our farmers market being so close geographically and so closely related. So we've kind of learned when farmers market season starts, some of our vendors' attention, rightfully so, goes there. And so we've been able to have some backups, especially for produce or baked goods.
Oh, that's so interesting. It's like in the growing season, you have like less. Wow, yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So because we want to give like those folks kind of the first crack at it, but we also recognize they're pretty small operations. So once you add in, however many markets they're doing for 6 months of the year, they may not be able to keep up.
Yeah, totally.
And then, the usual, like we always try to stock up for the holidays. I feel like we're always late to the game because farmers market season rolled right into the holidays, and so it's just a very busy stretch once we hit May and keep going. I mentioned like we do this winter subscription now, and that's been an interesting thing to put in the mix, especially in the winter because it's really hard to find produce. So that's really a valuable service for people. And it might be a time of year that we lose their attention, but this makes them come in either every week or every other week, whatever they've chosen. And people love it, because it keeps you eating your vegetables in the winter. It's, a reason to get out of the house and come in. And we still, we're full tilt. We still have a full store all year round. So
Yeah.
It just is a little bit more challenging sometimes with the weather.
Yeah. Yeah, but that all makes sense. But I just want to ask you, like, what are the most common challenges, just in general, with the store, and like managing the store and maybe with the producers or customers? Like, what are some of the challenges?
I think like the biggest kind of general theme is just we are choosing to work with a lot of small businesses, and that is by its nature inefficient. And so, you just kind of have to be prepared for that. And I think the best way to overcome that is with good communication. We recognize that there's going to be inconsistency. People are going to kind of come and go. Things are going to come up. They may not have enough product, but as long as like they can communicate with us so we can adjust, that really helps. And then it's so relationship based, which is also part of the point. But as we grow, that's kind of a challenge because you're used to working with this staff member. Well, maybe they're not here on Tuesday anymore, and that's when you come, and then suddenly there's somebody new, and so they need to get to know you and all the kind of things that are shaping your business to understand, well, why are you not going to have this for 3 weeks, and how do I communicate that to customers, or that sort of a thing. Like, it's not just like a factory where it's like, okay, we need 6 more widgets, so they show up on schedule. There's just people involved at every level, and that makes it both challenging and really wonderful.
Yeah, of course. And now I want to ask you, what would you say are some deal breakers for current sellers or for producers who are thinking about becoming vendors?
Yeah, we do really try. I would say, like, the first thing that comes to mind is just lack of communication. Like, if we can't, we will try to get a hold of you, but if you just kind of go MIA and we don't know what's going on, like at a point we're going to stop trying. And it could be, any number of reasons, and we would totally be understanding. We just need to know what's going on. Or just, if part of the deal is we need to have an availability list from you or something, like holding up your end of the bargain, and being consistent in providing the information we need. I would say about the only thing that has ever made us like stop working with somebody is like a lack of transparency. Like we are, we say producer only. Like there are certainly circumstances where like somebody is reselling a product, but we need to know. Like we have a little bit of flexibility in the market house to understand like there are complex relationships in these supply chains, and that's what makes it work, and we get it. And here we say everything is local. Just if you're not being transparent about where it's coming from, that's kind of a deal breaker. Our farmers market, we're a little more strict. Like that is really like producer only. That is why people are coming here.
Yeah, I understand that. And now, talking about pricing, since Keller Market is part of a nonprofit, I'm curious whether that allows for more flexibility when it comes to pricing, and how do you approach staying consistent? And I also think our listeners will be interested in understanding how you decide how much and what kind of each product to carry.
It can tricky. Like we always say, we try to keep a balance with any category. So when we consider taking on somebody new, we try to really look at that and ask ourselves, can we support more of a product in that category without really hurting somebody else's sales? Like we want the older vendor and the newer vendor to both be successful. So often it really helps if like something's a little bit different, even if it's kind of fundamentally a similar product, but they have like different packaging or, sometimes that helps us decide, yes, we're ready to bring on a new product because it's adding something different.
Yeah.
Our consignment vendors set their own pricing, so that's really kind of up to them. And then we have clearly spelled out consignment tiers for different product types, mostly based around like the perishability. And then as far as pricing wholesale products, I think because we are a nonprofit and we're not really trying to make money off of everyone. We're trying to pay the bills.
Yeah.
And we have the support of the community in the form of donors and sponsorships and members. And so that really helps us keep the prices at an affordable place. I think keeps everything moving. If we had our prices were so high, they were pricing nearly everybody out, it wouldn't work.
Yeah, it wouldn't be affordable. And now I want to ask you, like, from what you've seen, what are some common mistakes that new producers make when approaching retail? Can you maybe provide some advice?
Yeah, that one's pretty easy. Like we often see people who are new to wholesale, although kind of like wholesale light. We're kind of like training wheels for wholesale. I think when you're doing the consignment arrangement, is we hear, oh well, here's my price, but I'm going to have to add on X to cover the consignment fee. And I don't think that is the right way to think about it. Like we are providing services that if you were handling your retail sales, you would be providing. And if you're not valuing them for your own time and whatever, then your business is not going to be sustainable. And then also, I think you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot because customers are going to notice. They're going to notice, oh, when I buy this at the farmer's market, it's $5. But when I go around the corner and walk inside Keller, suddenly it's $7. Like that doesn't feel good. Like customers are savvy and they're going to get that. And so you're not actually going to increase your sales by expanding into new markets. So you really, I think best practice is set a retail price and then as you're selling more at scale, your the scale is going to make up for what your takeaway is, maybe a little bit less. But also if you're not paying yourself for your own time at all, at the end of the day, like what are you really doing?
Yeah, exactly. Why would a customer come to the store if they can just wait until Saturday and get it $2 cheaper? That's not going to help increase their sales. Yeah, and shifting now to capacity building, I want to ask you, what do you wish more farmers understood about retail grocery operations?
Our producers just stop in, they do their delivery, and then probably, hopefully, they have a sense of what was wasted, what didn't sell or what they come take home the next week or something. And so I think that's what they're seeing. And I know this from experience. I used to sell vegetables. Like I've seen the waste. It's part of the deal. And that can be discouraging. And I think people kind of get hung up on this didn't sell, I'm going to scale back. But then what they're not seeing the whole rest of the week is the people coming in when we don't have their product and wondering where it is. And so I think you kind of need to strive for that consistency and kind of build in a certain amount of waste that is just going to happen and kind of there may be highs and lows. Like one week you may sell out, the one week you may sell nothing, and then but if you back off, that's not going to serve you when that customer comes back from vacation or something. So you kind of need to figure out what is a happy medium and strive to have that like available all the time, have a seasonality to them or whatever. Like I understand. Yeah, because people like, I feel like when people are grocery shopping, at least our regulars, you know, they have their things. They want the same things every week. And when they're not there, they may move on to somebody else's thing. And then that's their new thing. Yeah. Yeah, that makes total sense. And talking about that, like what makes a local product stand out on your shelves? Like, where are you seeing your favorites? Do you see like a pattern on those products that are more successful than others? I think, you know, like great packaging and signage and kind of a cohesive brand look can really go a long way because, you know, at the farmer's market, people are going to zero in on you, but here the product kind of has to speak for itself. So, like having a professional look, I think gives people confidence, and having something that looks good is going to draw their eye. And having information about it, I think helps. Like we encourage our vendors, you know, have a little sign with a picture of you that kind of tells your story and helps people make a connection to the brand. Yeah, that makes total sense. Like thinking about the marketing and like the branding and like labeling. And I guess I just want to mention right now that we at ACEnet, we provide those services for people. And as you're saying, yeah, that can make a huge difference. Like having more information or having the right colors or just something more thought out, right? Yeah. And like, I see this more often than I would expect. Like when I look at the product label, I want to know what it is. Like it's obvious to you. And maybe you know that like purple is this flavor and blue, but like it needs to be clear what the product is. That seems obvious, but I think it's worth saying. Yes, for sure. Maybe somebody who doesn't know what your product is, look at your label, get their reaction. Yeah. I think that's all part of that marketing analysis and like do a little bit of experimentation and getting that external support, right? Yeah. And how can producers build long-term successful relationships with stores like yours? What do you think about that? Like for us, because we are so relationship based, I think just engaging. You know, we offer so many different ways for our producers to engage. Just talk to the staff when you're here. Like some people just drop and go and we don't get to talk to them. But when our cashiers get to know you, they're going to do a much better job of selling your product. We let anybody sign up to do like a pop-up event where you can be here during a busy time. And if it's appropriate, offer free samples or bring in extra product, and we make it a Facebook event and then people meet you. We offer a membership level for our vendors where, you know, they get all the perks of like a regular shopper members, like monthly sales and workshop discounts and a party once a year and stuff, but also extra benefits where we'll do a social media feature or like a special display 1 month out of the year. And also I think when you're a member, like it encourages you to shop. Like I love it when our vendors come and shop because then they're really kind of being a part of the community. They're sort of having a relationship with other producers and I just like I feel like that's part of it. Like if you're a producer, why wouldn't you support all your fellow producers or obviously with us, like do the farmers market? That's a great way to engage too and build your business. Yeah, that makes total sense. And I know that we already talked a little bit about this from like maybe our perspective, but from the customer perspective, have you noticed if like some of like certifications or labels matter more than others? We definitely have some people asking for organic. However, hardly anything we have is certified organic because most of the businesses are so small. We do have some, and that really does probably go a long way. People are very particular about animal products, meat and dairy and eggs. And yeah, I'm just thinking through, like, I don't believe any of our folks are certified organic. However, a lot of them have really strong sustainability practices. And so that's a little bit harder to communicate about because you can't make claims on the label, or, but so we try to do that with signage, but people don't read. And so it's pretty challenging because to expect all of our staff to know the ins and outs of everybody's farming operation is just never going to happen. So, like, we try to encourage people, to go to that vendor, go to their website, go to their Facebook page. Here's how to reach out to them if you really want to know the answers to these questions. And then we have a spot on our website where vendors can give us information to create a profile. So that'll at least lives in one place on our website if people are wanting to kind of do their homework. And then I would say ingredients. Okay. I don't know why it is so hard sometimes to get your ingredients list correct. Like, there are a lot of people who have concerns and they really need to know what's in something. And so, like, calling out those allergens and listing every ingredient is not only the law, it's really important to customers. So I would just encourage people to get that right. And then we ask everybody to put some kind of date on their product because I think that's really important too. People want to know, like, the freshness of something, and we also help to do a lot of rotating of product. And if there's not a date on it, we are helpless.
Yeah. Before we end this podcast, I want to give a special mention to the LFPP that brought us here and to this collaboration between ACEnet, Keller Market House, and the other grocery stores involved in the grant, all supporting each other's growth. I would love to ask you, how has this opportunity been for you and the Keller Market, and what are some of the lessons you've learned?
Yeah, it's been a game changer. Like, it has been one of the best parts of the last few years, I would say, because before this project, we just felt kind of like we're these oddballs trying to do this thing. There's nobody else like us. Nobody can help us. It's really hard to know where to go for help sometimes. And then now we have these relationships with 3 or 4 other markets doing very similar work, not always in the same context, but very similar work. And so just that, knowing we're not alone. Other people are trying to do this as well. They have a lot of the same struggles. It might look a little different, but at the end of the day, it's like very similar. We have somebody to go to when we have a problem or questions, and it turns out we all use, like, the same point of sale software. So that's been great to be like, hey, how do you do this? As well as, like, much bigger picture things, how to work with vendors, marketing, fundraising. The site visits were especially really valuable, just like seeing things and how people do things is really illuminating. Also, to be like, oh, we're doing okay. To see, like, other people are, like, also struggling with this too and still trying to figure it out, and to kind of make us realize the things that we figured out that are really special about our market.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, since each store is geographically separated, it hasn't been about competition at all. Quite the opposite. Everyone has been learning from each other, sharing tips and ideas from events or operations. And I think that it has been really beneficial and enriching for everyone. Um, and I wanted to ask you also, where do you envision the Keller Market House in the next few years, or like what kind of things do you would like for the store to have or to grow in certain direction? Maybe what kind of products you would like to see more, that kind of thing.
I would really like us to to be better able to support our producers. We are just so busy right now, and we've been in this big growth phase, and I feel like we're always just kind of rushing. And I think there's a lot of things that we could really help our vendors with, whether it's connecting them with small business resources or creating more like networking opportunities for them to work with one another, because I think that is always really valuable. I'd like to see more of that. And then kind of on the flip side, more educational opportunities for customers. Like we have a lot of special events, don't get me wrong, but kind of leaning into workshops and really engaging the community and helping them learn about local foods and how to use them. And I would like to see, this one's hard because this is like a much bigger picture thing and out of our control, but I would like to see us have more agricultural producers, which just aren't that many of. So part of that is seeing small businesses, small farms, small businesses that are farms being able to succeed and like truly become sustainable and quit their day job and lean into like doing what they want to do, that kind of a thing.
Yeah. I love that, and I totally agree with you. I would love to see more farmers being more successful, and like, yeah, it's like a global issue how now there's less farmers or younger generations are less into that business, and I have so much love for farming and agriculture that I just want to see that being more sustainable and successful. Yeah. And just to finish, I want to ask you where the listeners can learn more about the store and also what a final advice you will have for local producers.
Yeah, you can learn more about us on our website. It's just kellermarkethouse.org, and that's Keller. And our name comes from the original owners of this building. It is a historical building. It's been here since the 1860s, and it was built as a grocery store by the Keller family. Awesome. And so it's an homage to the original use of the building, return to that. Advice. I think lately I feel like my advice would be patient with us. I know all our small producers have a lot going on. We also have a lot going on. And sometimes it just takes us a little while, or we need to say, hey, I'm sorry, we have too much of that on the shelf right now, but we are going to put you in the queue. And then, a couple of months down the road, somebody else leaves and we have a spot for you. So just sometimes it takes a little while, but yeah, don't give up.
Well, thank you so much. This conversation was lovely, and I feel like I learned a lot more about the Keller Market House. And yeah, I appreciate a lot the time that you've given to this.
Thanks to you, and many thanks to ACEnet. Like, we've worked so much with them over the years in a lot of different capacities. That's been great. So yeah, we're always excited to do something with you.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you for listening to Community and Commerce Podcast. We appreciate you being part of this conversation, and be sure to join us for our upcoming episodes where you'll hear from other participating stores as they share their lessons, challenges, and strategies for cultivating market capacity through peer exchange. Until next time, thank you for supporting local food and local markets. We will see you in the next episode.